All right, so today I just wanted to share with you guys why I'm moving out of the house that I'm living in right now and back into an apartment, which I haven't done in quite a few years because I've been essentially house hacking the last few years that I've graduated college and purchased some real estate. So a little bit of background for those of you guys that don't know. When I first graduated college, essentially I bought a house as a house hack, which means that you live in one of the rooms or one of the units and rent out the other rooms/units, basically in order to offset the mortgage payments and also make it a little bit more affordable, just generally as an investment. The second property was kind of a condo flip that did not do well. And then the third one I'm living in right now, which didn't start out this way as a house hack. It's sort of a multi-family property now, but when I bought it, it was a single family house with a detached garage, which I thought it would be a great idea to turn this kind of place I'm living in right now into sort of a Hans garage kind of situation from Tokyo Drift, where my cars are downstairs and I have an apartment upstairs, which I had to build out kind of a bathroom, get all the plumbing and electrical in here so that you could actually live in here, which I've been doing for the better part of the last year. But there are some reasons that I'm now finally moving out, and that it's no longer makes sense for me at this point in my life, especially still being in my 20s, for a number of reasons that I thought I'd share with you guys in terms of just lessons learned if you're considering doing this type of thing or house hacking, whether or not it's kind of worth it in general. So the first thing I'll say is that location is everything, okay? That's when you get an apartment or buy a house, just living somewhere generally, you can change anything about the place except the location. Everybody always says that. If you're a realtor, if you guys know, I used to be a realtor, so that's maybe part of that in my brain. But basically where you live is a lot more important than what you actually live in or what you own, at least to me, right? I don't spend a whole lot of time at home. I try not to, at least, even though I do have a remote job for my corporate job. But I spend a lot of time obviously doing work trips or work travel or just outside of the house. You know, I don't like to sit around. I never sit back there, which you guys see in all these videos, like this couch and like this little setup, like with the TV, have like lo-fi playing or whatever. I honestly never sit there, okay? That's like, I think honestly, probably mostly for the video aesthetic. But anyway, I have to get rid of all my stuff soon, so I'll need to sell all that. But yeah, location I think is really important in that when you buy a house, it's going to be more expensive, generally speaking, than renting an apartment, right? That's kind of why most people rent apartments earlier in their life and then buy houses later on, right? That's also to say that because it's more expensive, you're not going to be able to live closer to a city center or like a place where a lot of other young people are, okay? And I don't regret any of the house purchases or real estate stuff that I've done because I've learned a ton of stuff, as I've talked to you guys about in previous videos. But a simple matter of fact is that I cannot buy a house. Like here, I'm in Central Texas. I would not have been able to buy a house in downtown Austin or like Terrytown or something and be able to walk places and still be able to do what I'm doing right now. I get that there are very edge case scenarios in terms of like being able to house hack, finding a really dilapidated unit and being able to renovate it and stuff like that. And if you have the means and the ability to find something like that in the time, then great. But I don't. And that is a good segue into my second point, which is that time is extremely valuable. And I think the older you get, you realize that more instead of just screwing around playing video games all day. There's nothing wrong with that either. I don't know why I just said that. I don't really play video games anymore. Maybe I should, explore that again. But what the heck am I even talking about? So I think with the time thing, I've spent a lot of time dealing with whether it's property management. Well, let's not even start there. Just finding a home. Like dealing with the whole closing process, working with all the different individuals, whether it's your realtor, your mortgage person, the general contractor, all the plumbing, electrical, the landscaper, the pest control. There are so many touch points that are not seen at a surface level from like, oh, it's like so fun to buy a house. Like it's a lot more work than you think it is, especially as a kid, like in my early 20s, trying to buy a house. Like I didn't know anything. I still like to make sure that I don't, have this mindset that I know everything. I'll never know everything, right? I'm always trying to learn. But the lessons learned that I want to share with you guys is that there are a lot of things that take a lot of time dealing with real estate, whether it's a house hack or just buying a house for yourself, which I think would be the smarter thing. In terms of not mixing your investments with your living situation. I think that's what I've been doing the last 4 years basically, besides the year that I was deployed and not here, which was like very refreshing to have to just like not deal with, property management. I think, yeah, just the time sink that it is dealing with stuff in real estate is something you really need to consider. And for me right now, I think at this point in my life, I will not be doing until I get married and buy a house that I plan on living in for a long time, or at least an extended period of time, and not rent that out like partially and have this like halfway kind of living situation where it's still an investment. So keep your investments and your living situation kind of separate. I think that's not just from my own anecdotal experience, but I know plenty of people that invest in real estate like at a very high scale, or a large volume of units or whatever, but they still live in an apartment just because it's less to deal with. And when you live somewhere, you don't want to deal with problems all the time. And that's just a really big takeaway in terms of time commitment. That is a main reason why I'm moving back into an apartment after having bought all these houses, and I could live in any of them at this point. The third thing is that I will say, like, money is not everything. And I know on this channel I talk a lot about like finance stuff, a little bit of like investing in real estate, credit card kind of stuff, and using your points and miles, and that's all good and well. And I think it's always great to be, financially smart about making good decisions. And this is not about that. This is just about not every part of your life has to be optimized for making money or it being a good investment, right? I think for the better part of my like early 20s, at the beginning of my corporate career and even the Army career, I was spending a lot of time trying to figure out how to optimize absolutely everything, and it can get very draining very quick for those of you that are kind of like me and also kind of share that mindset of wanting to do the best that you can so that you can support your family down the road, or your family that already exists, or whatever the case might be. I think that's still great. But I just think with the living situation and where you live, sometimes you just got to live a little. And I keep saying, I'm saying too many words, but like I'm not going to continue living where I'm living right now, also because of work. This isn't just like an arbitrary move to wherever I want. I think renting an apartment is going to be a really refreshing thing for me. And I'm really excited to be able to spend my time on other things and also just be able to enjoy a little bit of the freedom that comes with not having to spend that time on property management, and just enjoy a little bit about being closer to, whether it's friends or being closer to the beach or like any of the above in terms of location and time, and just being able to not think about, is this a good investment all the time? And that's completely okay. So I think, the so what of this whole thing is that I'm not giving up on like investing in real estate or just real estate stuff in general. I am keeping both the properties I have. I'm just renting them out. So this is long-term still part of the play. And I think I can definitely consider doing some sort of real estate stuff outside of my own living situation, whether it's where I'm moving or just, externally to that. Although I do think, as I've talked about in terms of my kind of investment portfolio and like investment vehicles in the past to you guys, one of the things I want to try and do, or that I am trying to do, is diversify a little bit outside of real estate and focus a little more on other things that I think might have more potential for not just upside or like margin or whatever, but a better return on investment for my time. Because just because there's a good dollar return, which real estate hasn't even been, that doesn't mean that it hasn't taken up literally 24/7, like your entire work week outside of actual work, dealing with this kind of stuff. And as anybody that works in real estate can probably tell you, that's kind of what it is. So those are the big ticket items that I want to talk to you guys about. I'll do a little quick walkthrough kind of just downstairs, because upstairs is kind of what you guys have already seen in my garage loft apartment. And I'm gonna be moving out of here pretty soon. So I don't know if I'll do like a move out video or whatever. I don't really vlog that much anymore. I kind of just share with you guys what's going on in my life, not yap too much. because I'm not gonna show you guys absolutely everything, right? But the garage is of course worth showing you guys because this is where I do spend a lot of time if I am at home, working on the cars or detailing them or whatever. So that's another thing, living in an apartment, I will not have this sort of open garage space, which is a little bit unfortunate. And so I'm gonna have to get rid of probably one of these at least. And if I get deployed again or go somewhere else for work, then it may make more sense to downsize even more. But that is all I have to say about why I'm moving out of my house back into an apartment. And whether that is a good thing or not has yet to be told because I haven't moved yet. So once I do that, once I move, obviously I'll share with you guys how it's going, and if I end up buying another house and trying to do real estate stuff again with my living situation, which I doubt I will because I'm very excited to be moving into an apartment and just be able to put in a work order if I got a problem with something. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you have any comments or questions as always, and I'll see you guys in the next one.